Life had settled into a rhythm of peace, progress, and blessing for the three Aidwale siblings. Lola, now happily married to Daniel, continued building a home centered on love, prayer, and faith. Their days were filled with shared devotion, laughter, and careful planning for the future. Each decision was guided by wisdom, humility, and reliance on God. Bayo was steadily advancing in his career, gaining respect and responsibility at work. Doors of opportunity continued to open for him, and with every project and promotion he remained grounded, remembering the faithfulness of God that had brought him from uncertainty to stability. Tinu, fresh from graduation and now serving in Anambra State at the governor's office, was excelling in her assignment. Her integrity, diligence, and faith made her a standout in the NYSC program. She also remained deeply committed to God, mentoring younger colleagues and maintaining a life of prayer and service. The siblings remained close-knit, often connecting through calls and messages, supporting one another through encouragement and prayer. They had learned the value of discretion regarding their successes, keeping some details from their father and stepmother to protect their peace from envy or interference. In every area, education, career, family, and faith, things were moving smoothly. No obstacles could derail their progress, and every challenge from the past had been transformed into a stepping stone for growth. The siblings often reflected quietly on their journey. "God has been faithful," Lola would say softly. "Every trial, every obstacle, every tear has been for this season." Bayo nodded, smiling. "Yes, and he's only getting started." Tinu, filled with gratitude, whispered, "I've seen it with my own eyes. When God is with you, everything aligns. Everything works." And indeed, everything was working beautifully for the three children. The peace surrounding the Aidwale siblings did not make them stagnant. Instead, it positioned them for greater elevation. For Bayo, the shift came quietly. One afternoon, while reviewing documents at work, his phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. He almost ignored it, but something nudged him to answer. The call turned out to be an invitation, a senior management opportunity tied to a new expansion project based partly in Ibadan. The news stunned him. Ibadan was not just a location. It was history, roots, and unfinished chapters. The role promised growth, influence, and long-term stability, but it also meant returning closer to family, carefully, wisely, on his own terms. That evening, Bayo sat alone, reflecting. He prayed softly, asking God for clarity. "If this is you," he whispered, "let peace lead me." Peace came, deep, steady, and unmistakable. Meanwhile, Lola continued to blossom in her marriage. She and Daniel had grown more intentional with life decisions, setting spiritual goals and aligning their dreams. The home they were building was not loud or flashy, but it was solid, anchored in mutual respect and faith. Tinu, still serving diligently in Anambra, received commendations from her supervisors. Her name began to circulate as someone dependable, principled, and unusually composed for her age. Opportunities for post-service placement were already being hinted at, though she chose to stay prayerful and patient. Despite their individual paths, the siblings remained united. They spoke often, sometimes about plans, sometimes just to laugh, pray, and remind one another how far they had come. They were cautious, selective, and wise, sharing only what was necessary with extended family. This season had taught them a powerful lesson. Not every blessing needs an announcement. Not every victory needs noise. Some breakthroughs are best protected with silence and gratitude. As Bayo prepared for the next stage of interviews and discussions, he sent a message to his sisters. "Something big may be coming. Pray with me." Lola replied almost instantly, "We're praying. God is ordering your steps." Tinu added, "Whatever door he opens, no one can shut." And so, with hearts aligned and faith intact, The Aidwale siblings stepped quietly into yet another unfolding chapter, unaware that this new door would soon reshape family dynamics in ways none of them expected. After her first heartbreak, Tinu had taken her siblings' advice to heart. She focused on her work, studies, and relationship with God, trusting that the right person would come in his perfect time. For a while, she felt at peace. Then, over the months, she cautiously opened her heart again, allowing herself to build connection for relationship. She tried again and again, 3 different times with 3 different people. Each relationship ended almost as soon as it started, though all seemingly kind, sincere, and serious about faith. At first, things went well. She prayed about each relationship, sought guidance, and moved with caution. Her heart began to hope again. But, one by one, each relationship ended abruptly. Some ended with honesty, as the men realized they couldn't cope with her family background. Others ended quietly, leaving Tinu confused and hurt. With each heartbreak, a heavy sadness began to settle in her heart. She would sit quietly in her room after work, praying and wiping away tears, whispering, "Lord, why does this keep happening? I only want to walk in your will. I want someone who honors you and me." The repeated disappointments left her feeling broken, and the laughter that once filled her heart was replaced by a quiet melancholy. Even in the midst of sadness, she refused to abandon her faith. She continued her prayers, service at church, and her work in the governor's office. But inside, a deep longing for love and companionship remained unmet. When she shared her struggles with Lola and Bayo, they comforted her gently. "Tinu, don't lose heart," Lola said softly. "God's timing is perfect. He's still working on the right person for you." Bayo added firmly, "Every setback is shaping you, Tinu. It's painful now, but God will bring the right person when the time is perfect. Stay strong and faithful." Though her heart was heavy, Tinu resolved to keep moving forward. She immersed herself in her studies, work, and faith, trusting that God's plan was greater than her disappointments. Little did she know, these trials were not the end. They were preparing her heart for the right person at the right time, a man who would respect her story and honor her journey fully.
Despite the repeated heartbreaks, Tina's life continued to move forward. Her faith, though tested, became her strongest consolation. She often reflected quietly in her room, "Lord, why must I pay for the mistakes of my parents? Why must their choices complicate my path to love and peace?" Even as these questions lingered in her heart, Tinu kept praying faithfully, trusting that God's wisdom would guide her and that his timing was perfect. Her work at the governor's office became a source of joy and fulfillment. The position, offered after her NYSC service, paid well and recognized her talents and dedication. She thrived in her role, gaining respect from colleagues and superiors alike, and felt a deep sense of purpose in serving her state. Still, there were quiet moments when the pain of broken relationships weighed heavily on her heart. She wondered why her parents' past choices, the polygamy and remarriage, seemed to shadow her own life. Yet, through it all, she remained steadfast in prayer. Each morning, she sought God's guidance and strength. "Lord, help me to walk my path with integrity. Heal my heart, bring clarity and peace. And if love is in your plan, bring the right person in your perfect time." Her siblings, Lola and Bayo, became pillars of encouragement. They reminded her often, "Tinu, don't lose hope. God has placed you in the perfect position, surrounded by favor. Trust Him with the rest." Bayo would add with a smile, "Your parents' choices don't define you. Your character, faith, and diligence do. Keep shining, Tinu." Though life had its unfairness, Tinu found solace in God and her growing independence. Her heart, though scarred, was resilient. Her career, Prayers and daily obedience reminded her that she was not alone, that God's hand was over her life, protecting her, guiding her, and preparing her for the blessings that lay ahead. And so each day, she moved forward faithfully, prayerfully, and with quiet hope, believing that God's plan for her life was far greater than the setbacks she had endured.